Hi folks, now here's a real departure from my channel. You never see one of these on here. I generally just deal with UK legal carry knives, and you know, I stick with that because what I would like to show is that even if you live in the UK and even if you have a ridiculously draconian knife carry rules, you're not spoilt, you're not lost for choices. There are options that are available to you for things to carry. Now I do have a couple of kind of comparators which sort of fit into a sort of similar vein. I have a Benchmade 940. I mean, you can't really be a knife collector and not have a Benchmade 940. I think that's just I think there's a law there that says that has to be the case. The only other flipper knives I have are there's Fura Gear, and I do also have a actually let's put these the other way around. I'm going to fit them on the screen better. Well, the Fura Gear probably won't fit, but no, there we are. Is front flipper, which I can't actually flip. I can just sort of roll it open, but if you look at UK legal carry, you can see that this knife does flick perfectly well. I can just roll it open, but that's just a function of my dodgy fingers. So this, funnily enough, this is the only one I can actually flip with any degree of regularity, and that one does flip really well actually. This one, I complained about this one being really badly centered, and then I had a bit of a fiddle with the pivot with the screwdriver, and I managed to get it to center up actually quite perfectly. Now it flips really well. I mean, this knife is 100% illegal in the UK. The blade's too long, it's got a lock, but I actually quite like it. It's quite a nice easy knife to use. Blade is a bit thick and heavy, which doesn't make it a great slicer, but it's that weight in the blade, because there's no distal taper in it. It's, you know, it's like a blooming S-stock in knife form. But it opens with authority, and it's a dropper. It drops shut, which is quite nice. The 940 is a whole different proposition, because although we've got stud opening on this knife, oops, don't know what I'm doing here, getting myself all tangled. When I open it, again I can't do this through the screen, I pull the button down and just flick it, and then it flies open and it works fine. I can't do the stud opening, thumb stud opening. Now, I mean, I'm sure that I know I'm alone in the world in not being able to do thumb stud opening, but it is purely down to the fact that I can't just flick that thumb forward. I can move it forward, but you know, that's as quick as I can move it, so there's no flick action in that. And I have the same problem when it comes to this one that Paddy sent, because this has two methods of opening. One is the thumb stud, and I'm not even sure I can roll this one open, but that's just, oh, I can. That's just this is my fingers. It's nothing to do with the knife, and but it also, yeah, well, I'll show you something. This is actually a very interesting knife. Now, it's not something that I would normally feature on my channel, because this is not legal to carry in the UK, because it has a lock. And I know that might seem petty, but it is the rules. That's the way it is. Now, when it comes to flicking this, it has a flicker on the back here, and I can do it sometimes, but I handed it to my son and said, "Can you flick that? Is this?" And he just went, and it just flew open. Not like that. It flew open. I mean, genuinely, this is a really, and he says this is This has got a beautiful flipper action, and it works really well. Now, where this knife is different to most of these sorts of knives, one, it has both a flipper and a thumb stud, thumb disc, thumb hexagon. You can remove them. Now, I actually took that off just to see what it looks like, and a lot of the times when you take the thumb disc off a knife, you end up with a flattened portion at the back of the blade, or a kind of notch, and it just looks like something's fallen off. It looks like something missing. Now all this leaves is a hole where that screw goes in. Maybe that's not perfect, but it's an awful lot better, because one of the things I've never liked about thumb discs is that you've got this piece which theoretically could be in the cutting path. If I can manage to open this knife, let's see if I can. No, not quite. But this isn't too bad. It's not really too much in the cutting path if you think the end of the blade is there. So it does work. I mean, I've cut a couple of apples with this. I haven't done any hard work with it because it's not my knife, and I don't want to muck it about. But you can remove that if that's not what you want on your knife. The other thing you can do is you can do the same with the flipper. Now, I haven't taken the flipper off because it took me long enough to be able to get the thumb disc back on. I didn't want to cross thread it or anything, so I had to be very careful about how I did it. I didn't take this one off. I understand the principle, but so you can have it with whether it's a thumb disc knife or a flipper knife, or I mean, you can have it with neither if you want. But I'm not quite sure how you then open it because there's not much of the blade showing. It's not quite a free dropper, but you know, you have to give it a wee tap. Hence, I've got the soft padded bit under here. I don't want to bash it off the table. It's got a nice milled clip. It looks really nice. This titanium side is all milled. It's a frame lock. I don't like frame locks. I mean, I have a couple, but really it's only a couple. I see they're effective, but I just think now because I use a knife in the left hand, I'm always looking at that side, and it just doesn't look nice. I just don't like it. This side is quite nice. This is a really nice carbon fibre. The only thing is that where this is all sculpted out here, you do end up, get this to focus on it, with this, I mean, it is nicely finished. It's actually perfectly smooth, but it just doesn't look right. I think sculpted carbon fibre works much better when it's not this sort of woven pattern. For example, on this J made, that's all sculpted, but it just has a nice smooth evenness to it that works really quite well. This bit in here just doesn't really quite work. Funnily enough, I mean, these bits work better and the bit on the back works better. It's just really this bit in here. And it, you know, it may just be I'm being overly picky. I don't know. Let's just zoom in a bit. It'll be easier to get it into focus. It looks just messy. Don't know if you can see what I mean. It almost looks like it's broken off. Now, I mean, actually, to the touch, it's smooth. It's lovely. Anyway, so this one will be heading on back to Paddy shortly. Or in fact, it'll head on its way around the pass round, and it'll get back to Paddy in due course. Oh, look at that! I managed it. It's I should have told you what it's called. It's on here somewhere. So it was HX Outdoors. So it's one of those ones that's available through AliExpress or GearBest. But it's not a super budget knife. I think this is about, I looked it up. It's called the ZD-005. So if you look that up, as I did, you'll find I think it comes in about 90 quid or something like that. Which, for what it is, you know, a titanium carbon fibre flipper, it's actually probably quite a good price. Certainly, I mean, there's nothing to complain about in that price. And if you think that this comes in at 225, then you're getting, you know, reasonable. You're getting pretty good, in fact, value for money. I quite like it. I mean, to use, it's quite a nice knife. It's only done light work with me. It, you know, it'll cut up an apple. I haven't really cut up anything else. It's extremely sharp. So far, I haven't cut myself with it, but there's still plenty of time for that. So, no doubt, I will do at some point. The blade is one of these things. It's one of those blades that I quite like. It's not overly fussy, but at the same time, it's got, you know, some nice curves and swedges and shape to it. The tanto shape sometimes irritates me a little bit. Depends what mood I'm in, because you don't see many tantos that are actually tanto shaped. It's only tanto shaped pocket knives that have that shape. Real tantos tend not to, but it is quite an attractive blade shape. It's also got a practical blade shape. You can cut using that point or that edge or that edge, or, you know, onto the flat of the blade. So it has good utility to it. Goes in and out your pocket. I haven't really carried. It's not a great left. It's a right hand only, and I'm never sure of the idea of putting a knife in the back of a left hand pocket that's got a right hand carry clip, because when that's down inside your pocket, it goes towards the back of that left hand pocket. Your hand's going in here, and then you've got this blade which it has a pretty good detent here, but you know, it's only got to open like that, and you catch your hand on it as you're putting your hand in your pocket, and you could do yourself a nasty mischief. It's much nicer if the blade is that way around and you're putting your hand in. So I haven't really carried it. Again, it's not my knife, so I wouldn't want to, but it's a pretty looking knife. When it first came in, I thought, whoa, that's nice, I like that. But it's nice to see, nice to have, nice to hold, nice to send back. I think that's the way I feel about it. So I'm very grateful to Paddy for sending it to me. It really was a pleasure to see it. But, you know, even if I could, it wouldn't stay in my EDC, I don't think. So, thank you very much. Bye.